This is a day one dog. Basically what we're doing today is we're going to make sure that we can teach this dog the leash is not going to hurt them, and basically we want to make sure that we can control them. This dog's about 10 months old. I've been messing with her in the inside of pen a little bit, and if you have a dog that's 3 or 4 or 5 months old and never been on a leash, it's a little more difficult to train, to leash train them. But all of our dogs need to be on a leash, and really a younger puppy, if it's 3, 4, 5 months old, never been on a leash, that's really what I wanted to bring today. I just didn't have one. And it is a true indication of how to react. They're going to be nervous, they're going to be pulling, they're going to think that this leash is killing them, and sooner or later they'll settle down. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes, and after that process is done, they know the leash doesn't hurt them. It does two things. It gives us an opportunity when we do turn them out to put them on a leash, and they're not nervous about it. And the second thing it's going to do, it's going to give us an opportunity to go to day 2, which is the second segment, which basically is going to be a 40-foot lead. This dog right here is about a 16-month-old blue tick. This is a day 2 dog. I worked with her yesterday afternoon. As you see, I got the long leash, and I'm gonna start back just like we did as if we were on day 1 with a short leash. You see, I'm trying to just pretty much let her know that I'm in control of her. As you see, the collar, we put a tracking collar on her today, and for day 2 basically, because we're gonna start using the tone. I'm gonna give her some rope. We're going to see how she'll respond. First thing I do with a day 2 dog is give her that rope, and I want her to know to come to me when I blow the whistle. So I'm pulling this rope. If you saw, I slightly bumped her a couple times, kind of like getting a fish bite on a pole, just like you get the bite. I want her to know to come to me. That's without a unit. I'm not toning anything. I'm not doing anything other than letting her know that I want her to come. You see, I'm squatting down. I want to love on her. I want her to know that she's done a good thing. Some people give them treats, some people do whatever, but I want her to know that she did what I wanted her to do. I'm gonna stand up and hopefully walk around, and maybe she'll walk off again. As you see, she's coming to me, and she knows that I want her close to me, and they get in the habit of doing that. That's when you get a partner to come over to hold her at the 40-foot mark or whatever, at the end of this leash. As you see, here she comes back to me. And some people think that we're ruining the dog. No, we're teaching the dog to come to me. So what I'm going to do, because she's not really responding to me, I'm probably going to wind up bumping her a little bit. I'm going to put my unit on about 3 or 4 as far as the shot goes, and I'm going to try to get her attention. I want her to come to me. Here she comes without a shot. I hadn't done anything with it. She just came on her own because I tugged the rope. And basically what you're going to do is you're just going to repeat this and repeat this and repeat this until you know that dog is responding. So we got a dog here. It's another dog. Basically, this dog is 13 months old. She's pretty much a puppy. She has been trained. She hasn't necessarily been on a leash, and you can tell she's a little bit nervous. We're gonna see how she's gonna be. We basically gonna call her a day 3 dog because she's actually been running. She runs deer right now, and she will stop on the road. When we get, or anytime we want her to stop, she will stop. Come here, Cricket. Come here. Once again, when they come to you, you need to let them know that you're not gonna hurt them, and they do what they want, what you want them to do. So you're gonna have to basically just reassure them that you're gonna be good to them, and you basically are just teaching them a lesson. It's no different than giving them a dog treat. So she needs to know that we're not gonna hurt her. Whistle breaking a dog, I've heard people say that don't work in the mountains, don't work in, this area or that area, but I can tell you that I've got friends that hunt in the mountains in North Alabama. And as long as we have GPS signal, it will work. And we lose signal down here, what people call the flatlands in Covington County, Geneva County. And if we don't get a satellite, sometimes we lose signal. I don't really know that it has anything to do with the terrain. But what I do know is when you stop this dog with a whistle or a tone, the whistle, all it's doing is bringing the dog to you. The tone is actually what's stopping the dog. And when you get this dog trained, the dog will backtrack where he just came from. And you should be able to pick the dog up. We've basically got this dog, we've taken her off the leash, and we're working her between Hunter Wilson and I right here. We basically are working her back and forth between each other. Typically, I'm gonna tone the dog. Hunter's gonna be blowing the whistle. She don't know where the tone's coming from. She just knows that the whistle is where I need to go. Once again, the tone is what stops the dog. The whistle just says, come to where I'm at. She's actually starting to get a hang of it, but I would do this right here until I know that she's responding. This dog is responding well. So basically we're winding up the training as far as inside the fence. It's typically a day 3 dog, what I would say a day 3 dog. Basically we've done the leash, training in day 1, the short leash. We've done the 40-foot leash for a day 2 dog, and a day 3 dog basically started out with a 40-foot leash, and at the end of the day, when I say a day, we're talking 15 to 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes. We are separated between foul poles inside of a field, so we're probably 100 yards apart, and we're working the dog between the two of us. We have one unit, and all I'm doing is toning the dog. I try not to tone the dog when he's blowing the whistle, or if I'm blowing the whistle, the dog can hear both, but I want him to hear the tone and then hear the whistle. The tone means to stop what I'm doing, whether it's coon hunting, running the deer, rabbit, squirrel, whatever you're doing. The main thing is that when he's in a piece of property where I want him to come to me, I'm going to stop him, or if I want him in my box, if I'm ready to go home, I'm not looking for dogs. I know where he's at on this GPS. I'm going to go get within 200-300 yards of him. I'm going to put him in my box. If you make a choice to whistle break your dogs, it's going to be a good decision for dog hunting. I think that it's really imperative for me to teach people to do this, because I think this is going to save our sport. We've had the Southeastern Dog Hunter Association here today. We wanted them to come up and be part of it. We basically crossed the state line down south, and we basically enjoy the partnership that we have.
And we are live once again. You got Stephen and Lonnie and me. I'm here to bring the average of the good-looking guys down. I'm like a solid 1, and Steve and Lonnie are like 9s or 10s. So I'm here to make them look better. So you guys know me. I'm Todd Edwards. I'm gonna let the guys introduce themselves and what they do. Stephen, you take it first.
Everybody knows I'm Stephen Self. I'm the Big Bay Hunting Club president and then advocate for the dog hunting.
And tonight we have a special, very, very special guest. Go ahead, Lonnie. Tell us all about it.
My name is Lonnie Miller. I'm the president of the Alabama Dog Hunters Association. Dog hunt locally in South Alabama.
So Lonnie has made a video, and we're making that video available on my YouTube page. It'll be published out at the end of the live stream. It'll be available on Army of Orange on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube, it'll be on 20 or 30 pages by the time I get done hitting the share button. So you'll be able to see it. Is what I'm getting at. But we've got a good training video about how to get the dogs to listen to you. So who wants to go first? I talk all the time. So
Go ahead, let Mr. Lonnie go.
Well,
all right, go for it.
okay, I want to say that what started the video was people used to want to pay me or pay other people to train their dogs. So when I say train them, I mean to collar break the dogs. And you know, we always say whistle broke or horn break or truck horn. And you know, heck, I would rather, in an effort to teach people to do it themselves, to get the word out there, and rather than me making money on it or somebody else making money, I wanted to teach everybody through that video how to do it. And it's a simple process. And as you know, it's four 20-minute days to teach the basics. You do 20 minutes a day, 4 days in a row. Now that dog's not going to be what I call a polished dog, but it's going to get the idea. And I had some help, some guys in the video. Hunter Wilson, he's an avid dog hunter. And Brad Wilnecker is the president of the Southeastern Dog Hunter Association. I invited him up, and of course I called him on the phone. And he said, "Yeah, I want to come," and he came to help. And again, just to get the word out, we all want to keep dog hunting. And of course, in Alabama, we've been under the gun, like I hear and like I've been reading about in the Carolinas. And Stephen called me the other day and was asking me about it, talking about it. And, you know, of course, Todd, I've talked with him before on some different items, different podcasts. And, if we can get the word out there and if people will use that as a tool, I was telling Todd, I don't necessarily want to talk about the video so much as to why you need the video, why you need to, as a dog hunter, if you have the privilege, and it's a privilege, it's not a right. And those of you, there's people that argue that point. And we don't have that right. In today's society, it's laws, and they can take that away from you, and you'll be breaking the law. And firsthand knowledge in Alabama, firsthand experiences, they will take it away from you if you don't abide by the law. And
Lonnie,
yes, sir.
the last time we talked, you told me something about the hunting season down there that really kind of floored me, and I want you to say it again so that the people watching can understand. How long is your hunting season?
Our hunting season, the dog season, starts the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and dog season ends January the 15th. It's usually around November the 19th time frame till January the 15th. The still hunters, stalk hunters, whatever you want to call them, get to hunt till February the 10th. So we hunt from, like I said, from usually around November 19th to January 15th.
So to kind of put that in perspective, Stephen's getting ready to start hunting next week, I think, or something like that.
The
It ain't
15th.
far off, is it?
August the 15th, we kick off. Looking forward to it for sure.
And see, I got to wait till second week of October. So both of us have got really long seasons compared to you guys. And your neighbor down there, the next state over, don't they have like 31 days or something like that, or 20 days? Or
where are you talking about? Florida?
No, not Florida. The other guy you had me talk to, I can't think of his name off top of my head.
Cody, it was Cody McCarty, the Mississippi season.
Yeah, the Mississippi season.
I don't know what the season is in Mississippi. I know Florida's got a longer season. We are about I'm 15 to 20 minutes from the state line in Florida. So, and I grew up hunting on Eglin Air Force Base, but I usually go down there and hunt with my family down there when the Alabama season goes out. And we hunt down there, I think, till like the end of February. So we get another 2 or 3 weekends of the season.
So you said this dog training video, and like I said, the video is going to be available if anybody wants to see it. It won't cost anything to watch it. Lonnie said he made the video because he didn't want to charge people to do it. But you're telling me that I'm working with the dog just a few minutes a day for 4 days, and I'll have the dog won't necessarily be polished, but it'll be in good shape. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And you know, the first day you take a puppy. I've got 3 puppies in my pen. They're 4 months old. About another month, I'm gonna get them out and start trying to leash train them, and I'm loving on them now, petting them and all that. So they might, you know, might come to me, they might not. But when I get them out of that pen and I put that collar on them and leash and everything, of course they're gonna go crazy for a while. And usually about 15, 20 minutes, they're gonna flip and flop and foam at the mouth. Y'all know what puppies do. And after about 15 minutes, they're gonna realize that leash is not hurting him. Then you put him up, and the next day get that same leash back out, start again, and he'll, you know, he'll either flip and flop for lesser time, but then, you know, I get a 40-foot lead when he settles down, and I'll let him. Of course, he's gonna run off. He thinks he's got freedom, and he'll, you know, just do a somersault when he gets into that rope. And of course, I got at that time I'll have my whistle or, you know, horn or whatever you're going to train them to recall with. And you know, I kind of bump that rope like you kind of, I describe it like getting a fish bite. Instead of it tugging, you're tugging him, but pulling him to you. And then sooner or later, he'll get the drift and he'll come to you, and you're toning him and blowing the whistle at the same time. And then at some point in time, he or she, the dog, is gonna think, oh, he wants me to be under his feet, and you're gonna think you ruined the dog. I've ruined him. Well, what I did with mine, and I do with mine, I get my grandkids or my kids. Back then, I had, you know, kids in the house when I made that video, and I get them out there about 50, 75 yards. I think Hunter's in the video doing exactly what I'm talking about. But we would call the dogs between us with a whistle, and of course then he would realize, well, hey, I can come and go, and you're basically just encouraging that dog. And of course, you know, you need to love on him and just let him know that he's doing what you want him to do. And then of course in the video, the sooner or later you'll take that lead off, and you don't have to shock the dog. Matter of fact, I don't shock my dogs very much. Now don't get me wrong, I tune them up. It's like I was telling people, and I've said this in that video maybe even, but when I take my grandkids downtown and I say come here, that's what I mean. And if they don't, I don't want them getting run over. If he gets run over, it's not the grandkid's fault, it's mine. Same as that dog. If that dog gets on somebody else's property, it's not the dog's fault, it's my fault. Don't shoot my dog, write me a ticket, I'll pay the fine, whatever you got to do. But it's my responsibility to teach that dog to listen to me. And anyway, so that's pretty much what the gist of it is. And that 4th segment in that video, in Alabama, you can't run dogs, you know, pretty much when the season goes out, you're not supposed to run dogs till, as far as chase deer, until a couple, 3 weeks before the season comes in, we get to, you know, run our dogs. I don't know the exact dates, but sometime right there around bow season. But the commissioner and the director at the time allowed us to make that video explaining what we were doing. And they said, yep, they wrote me a letter, said, go do it. And we were able to film a deer. We jumped a deer and was able to film that deer crossing the road, and the dogs come out, and they were about 100 yards. You'll see on the video, 75, 100 yards, whatever. And I'm standing at my truck, and of course, deer crosses. I blew my whistle. They come stood at the back of the truck, and those dogs, now I wasn't in control of all of those dogs. There was probably 3 or 4 different owners of the dogs, but they knew where the dog was at because I had called them on the radio and said, hey guys, break them down. Well, they're controlling their dogs. The dog just came to the whistle, like Steven said earlier, it was the recall. And then they come stood at the truck waiting on me to put them in the box. And of course it was hot. So it was May, I think it was when we made the video, and I didn't want to I just want to let them cool off. And so we wound up doing that and put them in the box. But, I've stopped as many as 17 dogs at one time by myself, by the way. Well, they were, again, it wasn't my dogs. It was other people's dogs. Hey, guys, break them down. And they start toning. Well, I believe it was 17 dogs at one time. And they'll stand in the road waiting on you to come pick them up. And, of course, if they don't, you have to spank one every once in a while, or figuratively speaking, you may have to shock one or whatever. But that puppy that we trained for the 4 days may be one that wants to keep going. Once they get a hang of running the deer and they may want to keep going, which is a bad situation because it's going to get a good dog that's whistle broke in trouble, because he's going to think that the race is still going. And so, you got to deal with that. But once they figure out, hey, I'm supposed to be stopping, they will stop.
The biggest thing as far as training that I found is getting them leash broke first. You get them leash broke first, and you can solve your problem. Just walking them down the street 3 or 4 days on the leash, 5 minutes, and it don't take long when you start your training. It'll save you a lot of aggravation if you just leash break them first.
That's right. You got to start with a leash. Exactly right. And Todd, I told you a little while ago, I'm not here necessarily to promote the video or whatever. I think the video is a good tool, and it don't have to be exactly the way we do it or I do it or whatever. But I want everybody anybody that dog hunts needs to train their dogs to be able to control them. The purpose of the video was to teach people to control their dogs. And, I made some notes, and, the bottom line is, if you're going to keep dog hunting, you have to keep your dog on your property. It's accountability. If you don't keep your dog on your property, the neighbor, the guy who owns the property, is going to call the game warden or the DCNR. In our case, we have a conservation advisory board. They'll go down and complain to the advisory board. And I don't disagree with it. If my dog is where he's not supposed to be, it's my fault. Again, the dog can't read, and I've heard that my dog can't read. No, so they can't, but you can, and you know how to keep up. Well, you should know how to keep up with your dog. The amount of times, like I had a meeting this afternoon with another dog hunter, and I told him I was going to be on the podcast and today, and he said, Lonnie, he said, them people that they don't understand how much it's going to improve their hunting. We went from having 3 or 4 or 5 drives a day to having 10 to 15. And if we have a dog, we shoot bucks on our property. I don't know what y'all do. We primarily shoot bucks. They're not going to, the club ain't going to go crazy over a doe. Now, if you want to kill the doe, you can do that. But if it's a doe, they're going to say, catch your dogs up. And then I can go with that doe, and maybe one of my buddies might go with me or something to that, that race, and everybody else can go hunting. Because when they get to the next crossroad, I can tone them, shut them down. But most of the time, the deer crosses out, that dog's going to be gone before the relay gets back out of that block. We just go to the next block and catch them up. But the amount of times that we get to hunt, and it's just that much more. And, I'll tell you that one of the things that's helped us is respecting our neighbors. And if you go meet your neighbor, put a fence up if that's what works. We've done that. Our clubs have done that. Our neighboring club put a fence up to keep the dogs from encroaching on the guy's property with the paper company's permission. The paper company said, yeah, put that fence up. That's fine. And, we pick trash up on the county roads and on the public roads and stuff. And, put yourself out there in a positive light. And then whenever something does go wrong, they'll say, well, that's Lonnie, or that's Steven, or yeah, them guys been working their butts off. They made a mistake. Okay, well, just don't wear it out. And I promise you that goes a long ways in the community when you're out there doing that, because I don't know of any dog hunting organizations that are doing what we're doing as dog hunters. As far as working, we work our butts off around here to we would just do all kinds of things in our community.
Right. Well, we do the same thing as far as we don't shoot no does. We cut out the cow horns last year, and we're starting to see a major increase in rack bucks. But like you said, if you're going to be able to stop, if you're going to make a rule where you can't kill does, you have to be able to stop your dogs. It's just the way it is. So we do the same thing. We don't let the dogs go out of a block if it's a doe. I know some of us don't like to stop that race, especially if it's sounding good. But like you said, you can continue on hunting.
We have a couple roads on our club, but they may call them kill roads, where we got to kill the deer, but if you want to kill a doe, you can kill a doe on our property. But most people, I know, I personally don't want to mess up my hunting shooting a doe when I'm out there buck hunting, And so if I kill a doe, I got to go clean the dang thing.
Well, I agree.
That's when the work starts.
Yeah, we're having an issue here in Carolina, though, because not so much the clubs are having issues with encroaching on other people's property. It's more your nuisance hunters. It's the people who don't have a lot of property, and they're having an issue getting off of their property on other people. Most of your clubs have been around so long that everybody understands they're a dog club, and you don't have much issue with those guys. But I'm probably the last one that I know of in my club who actually tone broke dogs. I would just tackle them. And it took me, I get all mine for the most part. Every now and then a young dog, but it was just, like you said, just learning to run and high strung. It hadn't broken down yet. They'd give me a run for my money about 6-7 months old. But after a little while of many miles on foot, I began, busting their behind and making them listen. And I've got no issues right now. Matter of fact, I plan on turning loose 12 head on the 15th, and I should stop every one of them, no problem. Hopefully, we kill the bucks, because we got a crop of bucks this year that you shouldn't have problems seeing the horns. But I don't think it's so much our clubs as it is just people just renegading, if you will. And but we're on the verge. I don't want to say the verge of losing it, but we're definitely on the verge of some mandates coming down that's going to really restrict our hunting if we don't do something.
Well, I can tell you that from experience that a lawbreaker is going to break the law, and they can make every, the DCNR folks, whether it's Alabama, the Carolinas, Mississippi, it doesn't matter. The people that obey the law are not the ones breaking the law. And like you said, the rogue hunters, those people are not going to stop. But with that being said, the ethical dog hunters are going to have to put a stop to it themselves as far as reporting it. And look, I always grew up at not snitching on this, telling on this, whatever. But at the end of the day, if you want to dog hunt, then you have to do what you have to do to preserve your dog hunting. And if a man's breaking the law, and if what you do is jeopardizing me, then I'm not going to deal with it that way. I'm going to deal with it the way I know how to deal with it.
But we do have an association, to go back to what you're talking about. We have the Sporting Dogs Association of South Carolina, and they're representing us pretty well, from what I can tell. It's pretty much a nonprofit, and they're doing a pretty fantastic job. But I think some fines will be coming. I think that'll be one of the. Right now, I don't think they do have it's basically like a leash law. I forget what they call it, but the dog is on the property. It's just a small fine, either $50 or $100, something like that. But I think more legislation is coming. There's a lot of people bought up property, and a lot of people complaining, and the property's getting smaller. Matter of fact, the county I'm in grows by 30 people a day. So there's something coming, but I've advocated your video. I've had friends tell me to stop dogs and to do this, that, and the other. And I've always been a little weary of it. because like I was telling you on the phone, I think it does take a little of the hunt out of the dog. Not so much the hunt, but more of the drive. It takes a little of the drive out of the dog. And I think it makes a better dog overall since I've been doing it. I've seen a difference in, like you said, just basic handling. You know, Mr. Charles Turner in Florida, I trade dogs with a lot. He's in his 80s, and a dog has to mind me. He says, I can't chase him. So I understand exactly what he's talking about, and I've seen it in my dogs personally. Now I run a different bloodline. My dogs are pretty sharp, and they're not quite as gung-ho as some of these big dogs that really drive a deer. So they're a little easier for me to break and handle. But having handles on your dog is what's going to keep it. I'm like you. That's what I firmly believe. I think having access all the way around your property should help. You know, some people don't have access all the way around. They have boundary lines that are wooded, and I think they have a big issue with that type of stuff.
Well, what we do in those cases there is, and we've got probably, our lease is around roughly 9,500 acres, 4,500 acre tract and a 5,500 acre tract. Maybe it's 10,000, somewhere around there. But we've got probably on that 5,500 acre tract, there's 500 or 600 acres that we can't run dogs on. And so the road, we're giving up probably 400 or 500 acres of running, because we stop the dogs when they cross the last, you know, it's basically, we call it last chance roads. It's last chance you're going to get to catch your dogs. You got to stop them right there. Mm-hmm. Because the neighbor, even though we leased another 400 or 500 acres, and we made the decision as a club, Rayonier has told us, our timber company said, look, if you don't control your dogs, you're going to lose your privilege of hunting. And so that's a whole nother animal that the dog hunters need to understand. It ain't just the DCNR departments. It's your land owners. It's your lease agents. Those people have control over you as well. And, you know, I could go on and on about stories where we've saved dog hunting. I'll tell you one right here, over in the Southwest Alabama. There was a landowner on 12,000 acres. And of course, he called the director at the time and was complaining about, about the dog hunters. He said, look, he was leasing the dog hunters, but he also had he's leasing the still hunters. And he told the director at the time, apparently, that he was going to shut down the dog hunting. And the director called me on the phone. He said, Lonnie, can you give Riley a call? Here's his number, and see if you salvage this, whatever. And I said, yeah, I'll see what I can do. So I called him up. We scheduled a meeting, me and my vice president and treasurer at the time. They both worked and lived in Southwest Alabama, met with the landowner. And we sat there and listened to his complaints and stuff. And we said, look, why don't you mandate, this was probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe more than that. But why don't you mandate GPS tracking collars and stop the dog hunters from turning out past 2 o'clock? He said, can we do that? I said, you own the land, sir. Do what you want to do, And they agreed to do that. So they mandated GPS tracking collars. This, like I said, this is 6 or 7 years ago. Mandated GPS tracking collars and stopped them from turning dogs out at 2 o'clock. And that would give the still hunters the evening time to hunt. Of course, the dog hunters didn't like it, but it was either that or you're going to lose all of it, And now they're still doing it. I know the next year, the guy, his name's Riley Borkin Smith, and Riley called me on the phone. He said, Lonnie, he said, you and Rick and Dewey, y'all saved me a lot of headaches. He said, man, I ain't had the first problem this year. He said, y'all solved the problem. So the gist of the thing is that the landowners can take that privilege of dog hunting away from me just as much as the state can. And it ain't just the landowners, and that's why it's good to be good stewards of your land. Go to your neighbors and help them work on fence, take them a load of wood, take them some deer meat. It's goofy little things that are kind of, I guess some people might think it's kind of childish, whatever, but in the same token, that stuff goes a long ways. And you pick up trash and advertise it and put it on. We adopt a mile on the highway, on State Highway 331, our chapter, local chapter. We go pick trash up. We haven't done it in a while. We need to get on it, boys. But the thing is that we want people to know we're out there working our butts off, and promoting the positive aspects of dog hunting. So if we do make a mistake, at least we're out there doing positive stuff.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It definitely counteracts some of the negatives. I know the first year we had our lease, we did the same thing. The trash, I think we picked up 18,000 pounds of trash on our club and around the club. And luckily, given that I work at the local jail, the road crew and the inmates, because I'm in the county, they swing through and pick it up, and they get credit for the weight and stuff. But we do that every year too, trying to pick up and clean up and go around, meet all of our neighbors. That's the first thing I did, was go and meet every landowner and assure them, hey, I don't know what problems you may have had prior to us, but you won't have the problems here now. And so far, I've had zero issues. We butt up close to a prison, and their caretaker, they still hunt it, and he's good as gold with us. I mean, now he does have some hunts, and he asks us to stay on the other side of the property when they have those hunts. It's usually once a year. Ain't no problem whatsoever, It's just give and take. But a lot of what I'm seeing out of our community, there's a lot of take and not a lot of give. It's strange to me to see that people see it coming to an end if we don't change, but aren't willing to change. I'm hoping we get more positive through this next meeting. But I think people are just scared of legislation, like we was talking about earlier. And I know my father being a commercial fisherman on the lake here, and I've said this in the past, when they take any of the fishing or anything else, you don't get it back, and it's usually more to follow. And that's what's got people a little timid about it. But this isn't 1995. This isn't 1980. The world's changed, and a lot of the land's gone, and we have to adapt as well, like you were saying. And to preclude that, I didn't know nothing about GPS collars. When I retired out of the Army and came home, when I left, we were just getting telemetry collars, the old quick tracks. And when I come back and seen this, my first thought was, boy, I could have done a lot of damage with that, And then after I learned how to use it, it's worth its weight in gold. But you're going to teach the game wardens how to use it or how to understand it. It's like anything else. If you don't know how to use it, it's a paperweight. And some of these guys just don't use it as full capability. They use it for viewing purposes only. And that just, they're missing out on so much functions that this thing can give them. And I wouldn't be surprised if we don't need to have a class or training on some of this, because the older generation, which would be me and on, it takes them a while to get used to things and to understand how to use it and when to use it. Because like you talked about the dog hanging on your feet, you can ruin a dog in a hurry with one if you don't know what you're doing, or
that's right,
you don't pay close attention and you're shocking the wrong dog, or you're disciplining or whatever you're doing. It can really mess up a dog too. I had a young man, he had my handheld in his pocket instead of on his side, and he was bumping one of mine in the box. And it was a lesson he learned. Luckily, I don't set my buttons on high, but it can be as bad of a tool as it can be a good of a tool. So people have to really learn it. And I'm not sure if our game wardens here don't understand it, because we do have several game wardens who actually dog hunt. Matter of fact, one's the president of a local club here, one of 10,000 clubs. So I think they do understand it. I think like you was talking about earlier, if we don't get on the same page, I'm sure our association is doing everything they can do. But if we don't get on the same page, we're going to be in danger of losing like everybody else.
Stephen, I want to make sure I clear something up about the game wardens. When I say we're going to teach the game wardens, it's not to catch dog hunters doing wrong.
Right.
It's to hopefully help the game warden understand, how it works. What happens when we lose GPS signal. Here's a screenshot of the drive track. This is, it'll give them information to know what to look for. But in the same token, we fully intend on telling them that if you're going to check somebody's license and you want to make sure that they have a GPS tracking collar, pull the dog out one at a time and tone them.
Right.
And teach them how to do that. But it's not to catch a dog hunter to do it wrong. It's hopefully one day to catch a situation where somebody might be complaining about the dog hunter and he can prove that he was in the right instead of in the wrong. Give the game more control.
I believe GPS has already done that at least once. I'm not sure what the case was, but I remember reading where the gentleman was able to prove that he wasn't where he was said to be with a Garmin. All right.
Yeah, maybe, but at the end of the day, in the field, the game wardens need to understand, and it's always a discretion, and they're gonna use I don't say always, but 9 times out of 10 they're gonna write a ticket and let them sort it out in court.
Right.
I've been able to prove that I was where I was supposed to be with a GPS before. So we got somebody in the comments, Aaron Christian. As a big dog hunter in South Carolina, we know who's doing it right and who's doing it wrong. We need to do what we have to do to keep doing what we love.
Absolutely.
That's true. 100%.
Absolutely. If people had attitude like that, you'd fix your problem, but it's not always the case. But I know I'm going to make what sacrifices I need to make, and I travel all over the state of Alabama, to handle dog issues or go to meetings or whatever I need to do, to help somebody else get on board with us, or just basically just to save dog hunting. And I feel like that's what and I ask the question: if I don't do it, who's going to do it?
Right.
And and then it's a sacrifice, and that video, we get back on that video again. Down here, you could, back when we made the video, you could get paid $50-$75 a dog to train them. 4 20-minute days. That's pretty good money,
Right.
And there was people doing it. People that trained me to do it and taught me to do it, or getting paid, and of course, I just want the word to get out. And I was thankful that you called me about Stephen, and asked me about it, and Todd brought it up, and Todd's got a platform that he can share the video, not for me, but for anybody that dog hunts, and it will hopefully preserve their privilege of dog hunting. Again, it is a privilege.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a right. If you had a right, we would be having a discussion about it. It's a privilege.
Absolutely.
So.
I've tried to teach the whistle to people, and a lot of people where I hunt just don't use it. But I will say the people that don't use it, when a deer hits the road, their dogs go get in the truck, and all they do is tone them and holler, whatever. They use like a verbal recall, but I want mine to carry, even if the dog's hung up in the woods. I can tone him and hit my whistle and get him to come out, and I've always had an issue having to be at the crossing, because I have to have my whistle. My dogs are looking for my whistle, not so much the tone. And I don't know if they've not become tone broke, which I know they are, but they're looking for my whistle. My whistle's not there. I've had a hard time with other people catching my dogs because of that. But now 99.9% of the time, I'm going to be there. If I got to take a back stand, a highway stand, or whatever I got to take, I'm going to be there when a deer crosses, especially early in the summer, because, August 15th, they're not driving a deer. They'll drive for a few minutes. When they hit a road, they're looking for water, so
Steve, you touched on something right there that what I'm about to say is 100% fact. When I turn my dogs out, I'm not going to take a stand and kill the deer. I'm going to keep up with my dogs. We take turns. There's probably, I think we have somewhere around 200 dogs in our club.
Whew.
And, we've got, I have 5 or 6, whatever. And, the other guy may have 14 or whatever. I don't know what the counts are, but, we have 2 groups, 100 in each group minimum. there ain't no way you're going to turn your dogs out every time. So you're going to have to take a turn. So when it's my turn, I'm already acknowledging, all right, guys, I want to jump this buck and I want y'all to shoot this buck. I'm going to be, like you said, I'm going to be sandbagging in the back, catching the dog. But then you got some people that turn their dogs out and they'll go inside a block and they don't care where their dogs go. We still have that. They want you to keep up with their dog while they're hunting. And that flies all over me. I'm like, I hear you, bud.
I ain't gonna say the names out loud, but we got him too. He knows who I'm talking to. You know. But the good thing about him, his dogs ain't going nowhere to start with. So when he gets there, they'll be there. He knows who he is.
That's right.
But I couldn't do that. I couldn't be comfortable not being able to get ahead of my dogs. There's no way in the world I would turn my dogs loose and going on foot. I just couldn't do it.
I care too much about mine, number one. Number two, I pay too much for them, or they're worth too much for me to take a collar off and turn them loose, like you said a little while ago. The people that just turn them out and don't keep up with them, I care too much for mine.
I ain't never gonna say nothing won't happen to one, but if it happens to him, I'm gonna be looking at him when it does. It's gonna be something that's just unavoidable.
That's right.
And that's what I teach my guys when they join the club. Is a lot of times I let them make them ride with me the first year and teach them, show them things, but dogs come first. That deer, there'll be another deer. We take care of these dogs 100% of the time, and we keep them off. And part of that, taking care of them, is keeping them off other people's property. That's part of it. So a lot of times I'll ride the highway and blow horn just to keep the deer turn back. And that might be a nice buck, and then we can legally shoot on the highway if we have property adjacent. So, but I'll blow the horn the whole time and turn him back to somebody else. I don't care nothing about no deer. I just like to hear my dogs run.
We can't shoot them on the highways here. County roads, dirt roads, it doesn't matter. You can't shoot them. So what we do is we'll beat on the truck door and beat on the cab, just what we got to do to turn the deer, and get back in. And deer, they know where the boundaries are, and they know where they got to get for the dogs to stop.
Yep, they know safety.
We can shoot
when he gets out. He just gets out. Yeah.
Go ahead, Todd.
I said we can shoot them adjacent to our property as well. There's places in North Carolina where you cannot shoot from the road, but there's places that you can. And there's places that you can that you should not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
One of our properties that borders us is a lady's house. And first thing my vice president did was go down to her house and talk to her and say, listen, law says we can stand so many feet back and shoot towards your house. This is not safe. How about we stand at your property line and shoot back, and it's safer for everybody? And she was all for it. That's what you got to do. You got to talk to these people and explain to them. The law says I can back up 300 feet and shoot a deer crossing this road, but you can't take them buckshot back once they leave that gun. So we go down there and shoot the opposite direction, and everybody's happy.
Getting back on that video, you'd be surprised about the people that don't know that you can run dog hunter. We've done some shoot like the Buckmasters or wild game, big wild game events, and we'll rent a booth and go up there and put videos out there and show deer getting killed or dogs running, and people come out and say, can you still run deer with dogs? Well, yeah. And they'll start talking about how they did it when they was a kid, and man, I'd like to hear it again. And then for 10 years now, we've been doing a hunt down at Geneva State Forest down in South Alabama, and I think 100 people come to that hunt every year. So it's a draw hunt. It's state land, and we'll turn out 100 walker dogs, and they'll run for 3 hours and 15 minutes, just non-stop screaming dogs and deer going everywhere. And those people, that hunt's designed for that person that's not in a club or can't, he doesn't have a chance to dog hunt. And it's went really well. And we just got a lot of accolades about it. Like you said a while ago about the game wardens, sometimes in the early years, the game wardens, we'd have 15 or 20 game wardens come. Well, when they realized that we were using GPSs and we were, collar breaking these dogs, and they were stopping on a dime, and they were just amazed. And then, you know, it's a 2-day hunt. So Friday it'd be 15 or 20. On Saturday, it might be 2.
Again, there. Yeah, we hunt a place from time to time, and I can't remember the guy's name. He was a baseball player. Baumgartner's his last name. I can't remember his first name, but he's got property, and they've had issues with him before. And I've had my dogs run deer across the road going in his property, sight chasing. The deer hit the road on one side, the dogs on the other side, and people hollering. I hit my whistle, everyone would peel right off and come in the truck, and they just look at me like I had 3 eyeballs. They couldn't believe it, you know. But it's just it's training. I'm taking the time to train them. Now I'm not the best. There's a young fella up here that hunts. His name's Darius Russell. He's probably the best I've ever seen. I mean, my club has some guys that are really, really good. I mean, they tone their dogs and they stop, and it's no problem. They're looking for them and they're happy when they get there. But Darius, he turns his dogs out in the kennel. They go get in the truck. He lets them out the truck and they go get in the kennel. When they hit the road, whatever dog hits first, he hollers their name. There ain't no toning, and the whole pack gets in the truck. I mean, he takes some time and does it right, and I'm fascinated by it, you know. But he spends a lot of time doing it. But his dogs, you know, they're not old dumb dogs that everybody else call deer dogs, but they're extremely intelligent. He does a fine job with it for sure. And like I said, I have 2 guys on the club, Mason Scott and Drew Gillum, even Nick Varner. Them fellas can stop their dogs on a dime. They really, really can. And it's I'm probably the worst on the club, and I'm still pretty good. You know what I mean? So, and I spent this whole off season just stopping dogs. That's all I worked on. I taught them in the yard, trying to get them load up. I still ain't done that, figured that out very good. But when they hit the road, they looking for daddy, and that's what I want. You know, 'cause I don't care to run a deer across the county. You know, if it's a buck, all right, we'll keep him going, but I mean, we don't have $1 million bucks. We have, you know, we kill 40 bucks a year, I guess, on the club, and we don't shoot no does and no spikes. So, I mean, it's not against their law; it's just against our rules. But you have to be able to stop your dogs because, like I said, we have neighbors, and neighbors don't want you on them. But these fellas I hunt with, they're phenomenal. They've been doing it longer than me, and I wouldn't say they're no holds barred, but when they get him, he's right. You know what I mean? So. That's the way I like it. But I don't. You might start a little earlier than I do. I like the dog to learn to trail and jump his own deer before I start messing with him in the collar. And a lot of times that's off-season stuff. I don't really raise puppies during the season. So my puppies come around March, and by the time August gets here, they're ready to roll. They're already tone broke, trailing and jumping their own deer. But if they ain't trailing and jumping, they're right there. But I try not to mess with them with the collar while they're learning. And I know you said you have, but usually I let them learn their trade, and then I start working with the collar. But when they're that age, they're really not hard to catch anyway, and they tend to follow the first dog anyway. If you can break down the lead dogs, the puppies tend to follow anyway, from what I've seen.
They do until they get the hang of it. When they get the hang of what they're doing, you ain't stopping him. And for me personally, I'm not running the dog down, and so I'm going to teach him. Like I told you in the beginning of the podcast, you know. I'm going to teach him when I call him, he's going to come to me. Right. And if he don't, he's going to get disciplined for it. And then, and I agree 100% what you said. I do think that the collar breaking of the dog might take some of the drive out of it. But in the same token, we can't run dogs like they did in the 80s. Right. You can't have a drive like that. And continue to dog hunt. You got to put some throttle to it, and you got to be able to do that. Once a puppy figures out what he's doing, you better have your whistle broke, or you're gonna have a rough day for a time or 2. Oh, I'm not a master by no means, but I can take my puppies out there now and make them stop on a dime and come to me and be happy when they get there. You know, it's not like I've disciplined them and they upset. When they come to me, they're happy to see me, even though they just left the deer that they've been chasing for the last 45 minutes. You know, so I'm a firm believer in a video.
Yeah, it's definitely a good video, and everybody can get something out of it. I don't care how long you've been doing it. There's something in there for everybody. Yep. It's a great video. It's a great training tool.
Yeah, it's not that I don't want to promote it. I just don't want to on horn. And we had a lot of participation, a lot of help put that thing on. The Dolphin Association paid for it. It cost us about $2,000 to make it, but in my opinion, it's a good video. It's a tool, and is it exactly how you would do it? No, but it's a general idea, basic, approach to how to do it, and it will save your dog hunting.
Well, I think it's like when we was on the phone with Chad Fuller there, just showing people that there is a way to make dogs mind you and listen. I think it brings a lot of positivity. Even people want to learn how, or people that don't believe you, just showing the video that it can be done, it brings a lot of positivity. I know one of my biggest critics on Facebook is always telling me, show the dog, show you stopping them. You always say you advocate for it, but show them. And it's a lot of times I don't have a chance to show you because I'm trying to put them in a box. So I had to set up stuff so I could actually appease that guy. I haven't heard from him since. But one of his biggest critiques was that, you say that you keep off people's property, but you never show you stopping them. I said, well, a lot of times when it's time to catch them, I'm trying to get them water, trying to get them in a dog box, whatever. But tell
them to go to segment 4 on that video.
Oh yeah, and look at it. Right. That's right.
No, you don't need to skip anything. He needs to watch the whole video.
Sure.
You don't need to go to segment 4. He needs to watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
I had my GoPro on my hat last year, and it was New Year's Eve. Dogs were coming up, and I was stopping the dogs, and I thought I was going to get a good video of me stopping my Carter dog, my old man.
Mm-hmm.
He come across the ditch, and as soon as he did, I just said his name, and he peeled right off and came to me. And right as he started coming to me, my hat tumbled off my head and rolled down in the ditch. So I got some really good video of the water moccasins and whatever else might have been in the ditch, but I didn't really get good video of my dog.
Yeah. Education is what it's going to take. And this year I'm set up better. So August 15th, we'll be putting out some videos of how it works and how it's done properly. But not just tone breaking, but the whole hunting in general. So I'm set up now. I got my GoPros, I got my videos, and my members are recording so we can put a positive light on things. Because I will say my members, we're one of the clubs that do it right, and we're going to continue to do it right. That's just the way it works. That's the best way to be. So
that's right.
But Mr. Lonnie, I do appreciate the video because that's what I use to learn. And I definitely appreciate it. And in the past, people have asked me for the videos. I've sent it to people, but the last time I went to the link that I'd sent them, it's not there no more on YouTube. And I said, well,
right.
That's why I've seen, the name pop up. I said, I know that name. And it sent me back to the train. I said, that's the guy I've been looking for. And I asked Todd, I said, can you put me in touch with Lonnie? And sure enough. Yeah,
Todd's going to post it, and it'll get some new energy. But, if anybody out there wants some, to ask questions, I'm not going to tell you I'm an expert by no means, but I'll be glad to help you. And like most of anything else, if I don't know the answer, I know somebody that does, or we can get you an answer. But be more than happy to help. Just PM me on Facebook or whatever you need to do to get in touch with me. I'll be glad to help you. It's Alabama Dog Hunters Association is our association. It's a closed group, by the way, on Facebook. But I am on Facebook personally. It's Lonnie Miller.
Yep.
Lonnie, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come share this information with us. Stephen, it is always great to see you, man.
Always. Absolutely.
Always.
Yep.
I'm sure we'll find something to get together about again.
Well, I look forward to seeing your videos here coming soon. You're going to have some good stuff for us to watch here.
If I can get a dog to hunt a deer, I'll have a video for you. I have to buy me one somewhere.
Maybe you find something in that pen full of culls you got there that you can do something with.
I found all mine in Perry, Florida. That's where everything I have comes from. Everything nose down, nose down and a lot of mouth. That's what I like. But
I hear you.
Yep. Y'all have a good evening.
Take care, Mr. Miller. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you for being here tonight.
All right.
See y'all.
All right, buddy. I'm getting out of here too.
And we are no longer streaming. We are offline.
I got a long day tomorrow again.
Thank you, Steve.